afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the King Kong Trail. Doug Vandiver sitting next to Bo Brockett. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Good to have you on here. Seems like we've been talking to get you on here for a while.
Yeah.
But,
conflicting schedules.
Everything, all the stars have aligned up right this tonight. Now, first time I ran into you, I have to admit, I was walking downtown farmers market, and being a barbecue connoisseur and semi-professional thinking that I am, barbecue pit guy. What else can I call myself? I'm like, spices. You don't need no stinking spices. But then the beard, and I'm like, all right, dude's cool. So, but welcome to the King Kong Trail.
Well,
so tell me a little bit about yourself. Excuse me. What's your connection to Burlington?
I'm originally from Southeast Iowa. My dad actually lives here in town. I kind of grew up, just kind of we before my folks got divorced, we moved around quite a bit. We lived in Wapello, Grandview, Les, Morning Sun, and then when my folks got divorced, my dad moved to Burlington, and we moved to Wapello, me, my brother, and my mom. And then, we lived there for a little bit, and then I did a short stint, moved in with my dad because I was kind of daddy's boy, and so I moved in with him for a little bit. He used to drive truck over the road before he retired, so it kind of conflicted there where we kind of hit a point where I couldn't stay with him anymore because, I was about 10 years old and can't stay in an apartment all by myself during the week,
Yeah.
So moved back in with my mom, and so I kind of did. So junior high and high school, minus one semester of the high school, I did all Mediapolis. So
Okay.
Did one semester here at BHS. So yeah.
All right. Very good. Very good. So, I know we ran into you over the summer also. You were out at the 224th.
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about your connection to them. And
Yeah, so I was in the National Guard of the 224th Engineers before they kind of disbanded, and I was in there from it was 98 to 2007. Yeah, 98. I had to do the math real quick. It was 9 years I was in.
Okay.
So I did 9. One of those years was when they were deployed to Iraq. So I deployed to Iraq with them, and it was. I'd say I got a lot of great memories, some terrible ones from being over there, but all in all, it was I love them guys, and it's nothing but love and respect for them guys, and
Absolutely.
love hanging out.
First off, thank you for your service. And I was a gunner's mate in the Navy.
Okay.
So whenever I hear of other veterans around here, I'm like, it's a special thing. So what did you do in the?
So when I first got in, I was in supply. So I spent several years kind of in the supply room. I did kind of bounce around after I got out of high school. I didn't go to college. I kind of was more into the partying life at the time, so I wasn't really too concerned with. I was more concerned with chasing girls and doing things I shouldn't have been doing, and it was kind of a crazy time for me back then. Yeah. So
Very cool. Very cool. So, excuse me. Now, darn it.
it's all right.
Little phlegm there going on. Did you serve with Dennis Ostrander?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dennis, he was actually my platoon sergeant when I first got in. Because when I first got in, they actually didn't stick me in the supply room because they had another gentleman in there. He was kind of filling the slot, but he didn't have that MOS.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of weird. So I'm not real sure. Looking back, I'm not real sure how it all worked out. But so they stuck me kind of in the admin department. So I worked directly with Sergeant Ostrander, and with Dennis, and it was a good time.
Yeah, I've been after him. You get him on here. We'll get him on here eventually. But I've heard the stories, and I've heard him talk about them, and I want to confirm. Have you ever heard or seen any ghosts out there?
I have heard things out there.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I've never seen anything. I've heard several stories. I didn't hear any of the stories. While before I stayed. It was actually afterwards. It was kind of I just had some, it could have been drafty stuff, but I had. They had me stay out there one night during the week. They had if I remember right, I think it was a gun show or something out there.
Okay.
And so they had the armory all locked up, and they had to have somebody in there all night, to kind of keep an eye on the guns, make sure nobody broke in or anything. So Dennis got a hold of me and asked me if I'd be interested in staying there, and I said sure, I'll stay there. So I kind of camped out there in the office, and I was kind of playing around on the computer, and the door next to me, which it had a lot of play in it, but the door started going thunk, 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 and I was like, well, that's kind of odd, but I'm like, well, it's an old building, so I kind of blew it off, and then it was like thunk, thunk, thunk again, and so I got up and opened up the door real quick, thinking somebody was there, messing with me, and nothing. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to stay in here tonight. So, that's about the gist of my experience with the quote-unquote ghosts there.
I think that would be an interesting one to get some paranormal investigators out there. I don't know if they've done that out there or not. I know there's a local group that does that kind of stuff. It's like that would be fun. That would be fun. So you're living here do you live here in town or?
Yep. I live here in town. So it's me, my wife, and our 3 kids. So we've lived here. I moved back into town here. That would have been 2000. It was late 2000, early 2001 when I moved back into town. I did a short stint. I lived up in Des Moines, working up on Camp Dodge. So I was talking about kind of bounced around with orders and stuff. That's what I kind of bounced around the state, trying to going from active duty orders to active duty orders, and just so I could get out and have fun and see other places. But I did that, and then I came back to town here, and I met my wife in July of 2001. And I asked her to marry me in December of that year, so kind of happy with it.
That's pretty quick.
So it was pretty quick. So
now, which I can't give you any grief for that, because when I met me and Amy started officially dating January 1st, and we were married in October.
Oh wow! There you go.
October 24th.
Got it.
Because for the longest time I thought it was October 22nd. It just messed me up. And I just praise God for Facebook reminding me each and every year.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. So she'd have to beat it into your head if you.
No, she didn't. No. She beats me, over other things, but not that.
Yeah, not that. Yeah.
Very cool.
So but I was gonna say with the you're going back to what you're saying about kind of what I did in the service. So, but I kind of bounced around a little bit, and then shortly after, I kind of came back to the area. When we deployed. In 2005, I changed. When we were over there, they kind of moved me into the armor position, so I was kind of the gunsmith while we were there. I kind of babysat weapons. And,
I knew there was a reason, being a gunner's mate.
We weren't there very long, and one of my friends, he passed away while we were there. He was killed in a roadside bomb. We lost 2 guys right away. It was just a month into the deployment when we lost him, and so I went to My first sergeant, I wasn't real sure if the commander would be okay with it, so I went to my first sergeant and I said, "Hey, can I have one of the guys' seats?" And he talked it over with the commander and was able to, talk it over with him and let me take his seat. So then I kind of went out and we did route clearance missions over there. So we were out there looking for roadside bombs. So when other folks were trying to avoid them, we were out there looking for them.
Okay.
So.
And I'm trying to think again. The time you said you were 98.
So I got in 98. Yep. And then that deployment was in 05.
Poker Miller, was he with you guys?
Yeah, Larry?
No, it'd be Zach.
Zach? Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I used to be his youth pastor.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
a couple, him and Jerry. Was it Jerry? Anisi.
Anisi. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. The Jerry I had to click there for a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
they were two of the kids in my youth group. Not kids when they left, and
Yeah. Yeah, they were in. If I remember right, both of them were in. I think they were in first platoon. If I remember right. Man, it's been so long. It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
So it's like 7. Yeah, my boy's 17. So, and he was born actually right. So we left in December, and my boy was born in December. My oldest, yeah.
Oh,
So
was he born before you?
Yeah. So that was like one blessing that I had was before we left, we were able to come home on leave for Christmas, and he was born on the 23rd.
Nice.
So, and because his actual due date was, if I remember right, it was the 27th, which was when we were supposed to return.
Right.
So I was asking the higher ups while I was there, right before we came home from SIL, I was like, what am I supposed to do if she goes in labor and we're leaving, and they're like, well, we're not leaving for 2 more days, so we'll give you 2 days, but then we got to figure out how to get you back down here.
Right.
So, and then luckily, she went early, and yeah, we had beautiful boy Peyton, so yeah, healthy boy.
It's amazing what the sacrifices people put.
Right.
I couldn't imagine, having that loom over me. I may have to go before the birth
Right.
of your child. But there are plenty of men that their kids were born after they
Right.
deployed.
Yeah, we actually had one of the guys in our group. Sadly, he was killed over there, and he actually never even got to meet his daughter.
Oh.
So he passed before he had a chance to come home on leave. So his girlfriend had her when they were before he had a chance to go on leave.
Oh goodness, that's terrible.
It is, and it's rough. I mean, it's really rough on sometimes I think it's rougher on it's rough on us guys and gals that deploy, but sometimes I think it's rougher on the family because they're over here picking up they're picking up our weight and trying to carry our load, and then they also got that what if in the back of their mind constantly, and
it's when I was in I was in active duty from 90 to 95, and I was stationed out in Norfolk. And after a couple of years of being there, man, I knew I am not going to marry a local girl. Because if you get out and you want to go home, they're like, I am home. And I just the idea of marriage at that time, I hadn't seen a successful military marriage yet at that point. And he was like, no way I'm going to, I went through enough garbage as a kid, from divorced parents. I ain't going to do that.
Right.
So, it's amazing what, the sacrifices, yes, and the women that definitely pick up the slack.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you got out in 2007?
Yep.
Okay.
I got out in 07. Yeah. I got out and I went to work down at Siemens down in Fort Madison,
Okay.
making the wind turbine blades.
All right.
I started off there. I was kind of when I started there, I was a packer. So they're the ones that lay all the fiberglass and the molds, and I did that for a week, and then my boss came up to me and goes, "Hey, you like your job?" And I'm like, "What I do?" And he says, "Well, I see you've got a heavy equipment background from the service." He's like, "Would you like to be a crane operator? We're looking for a crane operator."
Ooh.
And I'm like, "I'll do whatever you guys want." And he says, "Well, it pays a little more." And I went, "Sure, I'll be a crane operator." So yeah, so I worked down there, and from that time on, I was crane operator, and man, I did that for 12 and a half years down there. So, and yeah.
Yeah. We used to drive past that place, excuse me, every Sunday on the way to church.
Mhm.
And I was like, that'd be kind of a cool place to work. But then seeing the cycle of people working and getting laid off and working and
Right.
getting laid off. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's a really difficult industry for if you weren't in one of the original groups that was hired, like at the very beginning, it was really, really hard to keep your jobs during certain seasons down there. It was, thankfully, I was blessed and it never affected me. But it was, it was really hard on families down there. It was tough to watch because, even they, sometimes they would have even some of their temp workers were there for long periods of time, and then you'd see them go, and it's like, and, Siemens kind of, from a PR standpoint, they said, well, we let people go, but they were temps, and, so it kind of, I guess PR-wise, it kind of softens the blow to the community,
Right. Right.
But at the same time, for the folks that work there, it was kind of like, they're still our coworkers. They've been here forever, and
When all they do, and it's not just them, but when every company hires nothing but temps.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, they're your people.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. They maintained, I think, if I remember right, I think it was like 10%. They wanted to keep 10% of their workforce was temps. But other than that, yeah, it was. Now they've been getting into, they've been kind of cutting in deeper. I think this last layoff that they had, which was a couple weeks ago. It would look like they were cutting some folks that I don't remember them getting cut before. I've seen a couple of their posts on Facebook. So, but yeah, it's a very tough field or market for wind turbines because they can make their forecasts, but it's like they don't, with wind turbines, they don't make the blade, or they don't sell the blade and then make it. They kind of forecast a little ways because they have, the blades take a long period of time to make, so they have to, they can't just shove one out every 10 minutes.
Right.
Stamp one out. It's actually, and I don't know what they are now, but they used to be right around a 24-hour time frame, like
Okay.
back in. So by the time you get it, or maybe it's 17 hour. I think it's 17 hour when I left there. But it would literally take them like 17 hours to essentially make the blade, and then they would have to inject it after they made it. So then it's a long period of time, before they get that, and then you've got different teams that have to do different things to the blade.
Sure.
Afterwards they gotta fix little imperfections from the casting and excuse me. But they would do, there's, your painting blades and, it's kind of it's a long process for a blade. So they really have to forecast things out quite a ways to be successful.
Right.
And sometimes it works out really good in their favor where, they would go long periods of time without doing layoffs. And then sometimes, their forecasts, don't quite pan out, and unfortunately,
And it seems like that the energy sector is such a politicized, you know, this year wind turbines are hot, next year solar is going to be hot. You know, 2 election cycles down the road, it's going to be back to everything's burning oil, and you never know. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, like a lot of those, the green energy, some of them, especially the wind, they relied, for a time, they relied really heavily on that production tax credit to kind of offset their costs for, you know, their customers. So if we couldn't get it, then our costs were really high, and almost to a point where, you know, they couldn't, it wasn't cost effective for companies to come in and purchase them, you know. So eventually they were able to, I know Siemens worked really hard for quite a while to get that, you know, cost down, and I think that they must have, because they're still in business. So yeah, it's yeah. That's great folks down there.
Right.
So yeah.
And can you imagine driving one of those things down the road on the back of a semi? I wouldn't want to do it.
I just wonder how they do in the wind. You know, if there's like any kind of breeze, like going down the road. You know.
No, they are designed to catch the wind, so.
Yeah. So I know for me, it's like I moved them around inside the plant, and some of our clearances in there. You know, it's a big building when you look at it from the outside, but there's not very, like, the clearances are really tight down there. And the problem was the blades kept, you know, evolving and getting bigger, but the building didn't get bigger.
Right.
So our tolerance, you know, our clearances were getting smaller and smaller, and so I mean, by the time I left there, they were really tough to get in there and, you know, to maneuver things, because you had to, you know, you had different, you know, components in different areas, and so you'd have to, you know, you're like trying to, I always tell everybody it was like trying to parallel park a 747. You know, it was really, you know, some of the stuff was really tough, and you know, turnover on the crane operators down there was pretty high at one time, because you know, because it was a very tough, once you learned it, don't get me wrong, once you learned it, it was a great job, you know, and sometimes it was, you know, kind of a cake job, but but there were other ones, you know, like if you were trying to come in and learn with very tight clearances, where, you know, some of our clearances were like, you know, less than a foot, and you're trying to see that from 160, 180 feet away, you know, it's really hard, you know.
Yeah, I imagine that's, you know, you can't put a patch on one of those fan blades and call it done if you were to nick something.
No, it's usually they're pretty hard blades. They're pretty resilient, but they were, you know, most of the time it was molds that we would, you know, you'd hit like a gantry crane, or, you know, they're kind of up on two, you know, they have 2 wheels, and then they just kind of a bar that kind of like a I-beam that runs across and a hoist. But we'd have to bring them in and try to go under, take the tip end down and go under it so you can get down where you need to go, and then try to bring something down. Well, then you're trying to constantly, you know, finagle it so you're not getting back up in, because you lower this end, your other end wants to go up, even though that crane's not going up, you know. But,
it's kind of like pulling an engine out of a car, or trying not to chip any paint or scratch it.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that quite a few times with my brother. Yeah, the funny thing, talking about those the fan blades, windmills, whatever we call them. Every time I drive past one, my mind goes to a 12-year-old boy thinking, now if I could put a seat on the very end of that and ride that around, that would be so fun.
I think it would probably depend on how fast the wind's moving.
It probably would. I mean, it'd probably be booking, but I was sitting there thinking, you can make some money off of that.
Oh, probably could. Yeah.
And my wife's looking at me like, you're a dork.
I think it was about 300 feet is what the span of that is.
Oh,
so
wow.
From top to, you know, by the time you go from the...
Oh, that'd be a good ride.
Yeah. And then, I couldn't imagine how fast you're actually going. Like when they're... I know, like, there's a certain wind, you know, range that they'll power them up and power them down in. And so, and then the blades, they can pitch also.
Okay.
So they can catch more or less wind.
Oh.
So, yeah.
All right.
They're they're pretty sophisticated on how they work. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Very cool. Well, we got to take a break, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back with Bo Brockett. Thanks for hanging in there. Now, we got some things sitting in front of us. These are your spices, BoBq. Now, how in the world did you decide you wanted to start putting some spices together for barbecue?
Well, honestly, the funny thing is so I like to barbecue like you. I'm a big barbecue guy, and I just kind of got it. I went where I was buying stuff at stores and things like that, and I kind of got where I was like I like them, but I'd want to add stuff to it. So then I'd do that, and then I'm like, well, there's some stuff in there I don't want. So then, so it kind of started off originally with me just kind of like getting online, finding like online recipes, and like playing around with them, and you'd find stuff that works, some stuff that doesn't. You could take them, combine them. Take what's great in one rub is and what's good in another rub, and be like I like these two things, bring them together. And so it kind of started like that, and then so I kind of always kind of mix my own stuff together and come up with my own little concoctions. I never really wrote stuff down, or I just kind of threw stuff together.
That's what I do.
And then
that's what I do. I've got like one special ingredient that I throw into everything that I've done, and but the rest of it's maybe that's why I've never won any barbecue contest. I've always come in second place.
Maybe.
Oh, because I guess I just can't reproduce my stuff. It's always different.
Yeah. So the funny thing is so when so I had a friend, he's like, oh, your barbecue's really good. He's like, you ought to try selling your barbecue. And I'm like, I don't really want to get into that stuff, and because then you're talking about buying big smokers and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then you got licenses and so
and barbecue don't happen overnight.
No.
Well, it actually does happen
well,
overnight.
It does.
You got to sit there overnight.
That's right.
That's why I've got one pellet grill. The idea was set it and forget it until I figured out the pellets don't always fall into the hopper, and that's why I like my regular smoker. Sorry.
No,
I get sidetracked.
No, you're good. You're good. So, yeah. So originally I wasn't gonna do my rubs. I was actually gonna sell my barbecue sauces.
Okay.
So I've got 3 sauces that I would make, and I give them to friends, and or make a couple bucks here and there. Like, I guess I gotta watch what I say because it's a little illegal back then. But but no, it was. So I kind of originally started off like giving it to folks, and and taking it to gatherings and things like that, and then it kind of evolved into my friends saying, hey, you should market this stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, you know what, I'll look into it. So I got a hold of like the health department, because I wanted to do everything legally in the right way. I'm a Christian guy. I didn't want to break laws and do I wanted to do everything correctly. So not have any black marks against us as a small business. So I got a hold of the health department. I said, hey, what do I need to do to sell barbecue rubs? And the guy's like, you cannot make it yourself. And I was like, really? And I said, well, what about a licensed kitchen? Nope. Okay. Well, what do I need to do? And he says, well, you need to get a hold of a company that, like a manufacturing company that can make it for you, because you can give somebody botulism. They're worried about, because it's tomato based and whatnot. So I was like, okay. So I got to thinking about it. And I'm like, so I got to give another company my recipe, and then they're not a manufacturing company. It's not going to make you a case of this stuff. They're gonna probably want to make you at minimum like a pallet or better of it, and then you got to figure out if you can sell it with no name before it expires. So for me it was kind of like, you know what, why don't we do the rubs? We'll start off with the spices, and we'll see how they do, and if they do well, then we'll maybe it'll pay for the sauces one day. And so we kind of ventured into that a little bit, and it was like, and then I kind of turned into McCormick's, if you can't tell. So, but yeah, so our first year, we just had the chicken, steak, and pork, which is the pink, blue, and the green. We made those our first year, and then the following year, last year, we added the sodium free, the Cajun and the orange, the Memphis in red, and then the brisket there with the brown.
Okay.
So we added those. There were some other ones that I was tinkering with. So, and folks were, we had folks coming up to us, asking us about all kinds of different, like, oh, have you ever thought about making this or making that? And so I was kind of like, it's like, well, I've got ideas, so it's like, so I kind of played around with them. And yeah, they took off, and yeah, they're doing well.
So I'm just trying to think, mixing this stuff up like a mad scientist in a kettle cooker thing. How do you manufacture this?
So in the beginning, we were using. So after you kind of take your original recipe, and once you got yourself kind of dialed down to your recipe. Then we would kind of multiply it, and then where we could make batches, because most of the stuff, especially when you're just trying to come up with good stuff, you're working with like little stuff, and which makes for really great and terrible evenings for the family, because then they get to try all the different concoctions, and if they pass the family test, then they go to friend test.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we did that, and. Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that.
Are you able to? I mean, do you put this stuff together?
Yes, yeah. So we do. So we originally started doing like 5-gallon batches, which we were using like food grade buckets, and I kind of come up with. I don't know if you ever seen those like rock tumblers, where they you throw rocks in the 5-gallon bucket, and then you use a motor and rotate it, and because I was kind of thinking like, well, I'll just buy me a really big mixer, thousands of dollars. So then I'm like, well, I don't know if we're going to sell that much, so maybe we ought to start smaller, so because we really didn't pour very much of our own money into it when we first started. We were pretty minimal on what we wanted to throw at it and just kind of see how it went. And so we kind of started off with the 5-gallon. We now I can do about 12 to 15 gallons at a time now. So, but yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming you just don't rush out to Walmart and buy the ingredients.
No. If I had to go out to the retail stores and buy tones, I would be broke. So they charge an awful lot for those little containers. So the stuff that we buy, we try to. We were buying local, but we were able to get a lot better deals because we had to, we have to stay somewhat competitive, and so we had to kind of go to buying stuff in bulk online. And,
sure.
But yeah.
Sure. Okay. So and I know that I see you down at Farmers Market.
Mm-hmm.
You're there probably just about every week.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, let's see, where are you usually at? You're usually at the, what's that?
By the bookstore, right?
By the bookstore. Yep. So you'll be there this year?
Yep, we will be down there. I'm not sure as of where I'll be located yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're just doing the vendor applications for down there. So we'll see kind of how that all plays out. They may stick me in the same spot. Maybe they'll move me to my red-headed, fair-skinned butt. Maybe they'll move me down to a shadier area. I don't know. We'll see. But,
that's why you're underneath the tent.
That's right.
I
That's
get
right.
it now.
That's why I'm under the tent and wear a cowboy hat most of the time down there. So yeah. So, but yeah, we'll definitely be at the Jefferson Street Farmers Market, and we'll be at some other venues this year too. We're going to be at the Very Vintage Market. We'll be there at that one, and we're going to kind of explore some other bigger venues around here to try to find some decent venues
Okay. Now, and are you in some of the local stores?
Yes,
today?
yeah. So we're in both the Hy-Vees here in Burlington. We're in Fairway in Burlington. We are also in Meepo Foods up in Mediapolis. We're in Fairway in Fort Madison, Hy-Vee in Keokuk, and at the Belted Cow Apple Orchard over in I think it's Rosetta, Illinois. I'm trying. It's kind of over by Biggsville. It's
Okay.
that big apple orchard over there. So great folks there, though. Yeah.
Okay. Trying to think, the only apple orchard I remember was Weir's over there by Biggsville. Oh, yeah, but they closed down. They had to do I bought some of their apple wood for
There you go.
for smoking. I had a big old truckload of it one time.
Can't beat that.
Oh, it was good, but it's sad.
It's my favorite
They're
wood.
out there. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Applewood's good for pork. I like that.
yeah.
So, what is your favorite? If somebody was to say, Bo, I like to do a lot of chicken. What would you suggest?
So I'm kind of biased. I like all of them, but hey,
Yeah, and I guess I'm saying, which is your favorite child?
yeah, right.
You know,
Where you go, no, we love them all equally. No, it's no. My favorite is probably Cajun.
okay.
So,
So you the kick.
yeah, it's got spice to it. Cajun food should not be hot, but it should be spicy. If you were going to compare it to like a pepper, I would consider, it'd be like maybe jalapeno hot.
Okay.
But it's like probably the most versatile rub for folks if you don't mind something that's got a little zing to it. But it's you can use that stuff on chicken, you can use it on pork, you can throw that stuff on popcorn, catfish, throw it on some deer.
Yeah. My wife. What do you have at work?
The chicken rub at work, and we have Memphis here at home.
Okay. Because your chicken rub, she's like, I put it on rice.
Yeah.
So she has a rice cooker that she does her rices at work.
Okay.
So-
Yeah. The chicken's really good. It's really good for veggies too.
Okay.
It's not just strictly for chicken. We'll use it on that. And, yeah. The Memphis, it's really good. It's kind of a sweet, smoky rub. It's not spicy.
I like it.
Yeah. So it's kind of versatile. Me and my boy will even put that stuff on mac and cheese.
Right.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
So, but the steak there on the end, it's actually our best seller. It's really good for anything. If you're doing burgers or doing obviously steak, or you can put it in meatloaf, or I've even put it on chicken wings, like when you smoke chicken wings.
Okay.
Like right when you take them off the grill, and they still kind of have that greasiness to them before they kind of dry up a little bit.
Mhm.
Just toss them in a little bit of that, and it's really good.
Nice.
So
And see, with my chicken wings, I smoke them for a bit, and then right before they're done, I pull them out, and then you got to fry them, get them crisped up.
there you go.
You still got the smoky, crispy. Oh, now I'm hungry.
Well, I brought the rub. I didn't bring the meat. Sorry, man.
So, here's an idea for you. Have you ever thought about doing a demonstration on maybe this is what the rub we use, and here's how we cook it, and take a person through the whole process?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm working on. Is I'm wanting to get a essentially like a grilling area built this year, so I can do some videos. We'll throw them up like on Facebook and throw them on our website, where they'll go with our recipes on our website. And we've really been wanting to kind of do that, where people can kind of see things start to finish, because I'm not a big reader, and right now all of our ingredients are kind of listed as you kind of got to read through them, and which they're pretty easy. They're short, easy reads, but
Right.
but they're kind of boring,
Sure.
So yeah.
And it's the social media aspect. I mean, everybody wants to see a video, because it's I don't know, easier to follow a video
Absolutely. Yep.
than to try to sit there and, okay, what do they mean by a pinch or a dash?
Right.
You know,
Right.
you can actually see somebody do it.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good.
Yeah, on our Facebook page and our website, we do we have a video that kind of introduces each of the rubs, kind of what they're good on and things like that. But yeah, we're gonna get into once we get that grilling area done, we'll kind of have an area where we can start laying out some videos.
Very cool.
See how
Now,
tech savvy I can get.
are you doing a like an outdoor kitchen?
Yeah. So it'll be kind of an outdoor theme. I'm not real sure exactly what it looks like. I think I'm going to go with some galvanized look to it, but we'll see how it goes.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Of course, I've always wanted a bigger garage and but an area with a concrete grill and not a pizza oven, but one of those fire oven. Oh yeah.
The old brick oven, fire brick ovens. Yeah.
Yet I am not checked my lottery tickets, so I probably never be able to.
Yeah. That's our problem too. Sometimes it's like, I keep telling everybody, when I win the lottery, but then I realize, you got to play the lottery.
Got to play.
It.
No,
Yeah,
we rarely play, but when we do play, the ticket stays in my wallet, and I always forget to check. So I tell, I'm an undiscovered millionaire. I know it.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
One of these days.
So by now you're probably ready to retire. And,
Not quite. We're kind of. I think we're about Burlington. I don't even know if we're quite Burlington famous yet. But we're working on it. So yeah.
So and I'm assuming if things worked out, would you? Who wouldn't want to be national?
Yeah.
Is that something, or you just kind of want to?
I think
stick
we
around?
would definitely. We would. I think we would definitely keep our roots here. We would. We're kind of at that weird spot where right now we have a room at our house that is dedicated to this. Like we don't use our own kitchen. It has its own equipment and everything else. Measuring everything's its own entity. We keep kiddos and keep everything.
Do you
out
look
there.
like Breaking Bad when you go in there?
No, but I will tell you though, if you're working on some of these, they will definitely clear out your sinuses.
I bet.
So when you're dealing with pounds of cayenne pepper and things like that, mixing batches, it's yeah.
Put your masks on and your goggles.
Yep, I do.
Don't rub your eyes.
Yep. Avoid the eyes. Yeah, Yeah, I typically will wear a mask with some of them just so I'm not sneezing, and nobody wants my sneeze in their jar of red.
Why is this all clubbed together?
So yeah, but yeah, we do see ourselves, growing, and so far, we've done really well. We had our first year, we had, I think it was right around 960 jars that we sold. And then this last year we were just shy of 2,400 that we sold. So we had quite a jump this last year, and getting into the stores, them giving us the opportunity, blessing us with that opportunity. It's been so far that's really helped definitely boost our sales, and it's so far so good. I mean, I guess what's Dave Ramsey say? I'm better than I deserve.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So, any other ideas on your next recipe?
So
without giving anything away?
I do have some ideas. I did promise the wife I wasn't going to turn into McCormick's, at least yet. So
not yet. Let's see. Today's Monday, so maybe on Wednesday.
Yeah, it'll be different. Yeah. Yeah, so I've got some ideas for some different ones. I'd like to. I want to do a veggie, and which I'm kind of working on the side right now. Is kind of our, it's the slow time of the season where we're not doing a ton of sales because a lot of folks, unless you're hardcore grillers like me and you, not a lot of grillers in the winter, so or it slows drastically anyway. So now it's kind of our season where we're producing, we can concentrate more on producing for the next year, and then, moving, and then so that way during the market season and hitting venues, we're not trying to constantly manufacture it and try to get it done before we go to a venue, and,
Right.
Which in the beginning that's kind of how we did it. So because again we started with little, so we'd make some, then we'd sell it, and then that would fund the next batch plus a little bit more, and then you just keep building, and and now we're able to buy bigger in bulk, and thankfully, because that's helped us with the fortunately inflation going on, we things are rising in price, and being able to buy bigger in bulk, that's keeping our so far it's kept our price
Sure.
manageable.
Sure.
So we haven't had to raise our price yet. So, and we're hoping that stays that way, but we'll see.
That would be nice, because everything is going up.
Right.
Everything.
Mhm.
It just so.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll and we're thinking about doing some different things. Like I got the veggie. I kind of want to do a Jamaican jerk.
Ooh, okay.
So
I knew a few of those.
yeah. So
Maybe they're just jerks. They're not Jamaican.
no, yeah. I haven't met very many Jamaicans. So
I've had one or two I've met. They were
Yeah.
pretty nice guys.
Yeah, they were
they
pretty
were
nice
laid
guys.
back. They were
Yeah.
just, hey man.
no.
So your ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
I've not actually sat and looked at the ingredients on different rubs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have a shelf life?
Yeah, so they have a shelf life from when we and we go off of when it's been the ingredients have been processed. So whatever the expiration is, whatever the lowest date is, we'll go off of that. Typically, your spices. So spices don't go. They don't go rancid. They don't spoil. They do lose their potency over time. So if you follow what the guidelines, it's about 3 years is about your your peak freshness on stuff. So that's
Okay.
what when we produce something, we date them all for that 3 years.
That's my heater. Sounds like it's ready to blow, but I got to bend a fan blade or something. So very cool. And are there, like I've seen one is no sodium or low sodium?
Right. So we do have a sodium free. That one, and believe it or not, my brisket doesn't have salt either.
Okay.
So that's kind of a different. Like most people were, kind of find that odd. So
Okay. My rubs, and I said I always take home second place. The criticism I had was it was too salty. I never put an ounce of salt in it. It's like,
So sometimes you can get it could be another ingredient too.
yeah.
Some ingredients they will use, salt mixed in with it.
Yeah.
So,
that could be.
So that would be one thing to check and see, like on labels and things, and see if the things in there, like most people think chili powder is just straight chili powder, and sometimes it's not.
Right.
So sometimes they will add salt to a chili powder.
I'm just going to come to you and say, dude, what's up?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we list, so like all of our ingredients, we list on our jars. We don't, we want you guys to know, like a lot of, if you grab something at the market or at, like in a store, a lot of times they'll list like, the few main ingredients, and then they'll say, and spices, well, what are them spices, So, and and I understand why they don't, because they don't want you to look at it and go, oh, I can copy this at home or
Sure.
whatever. But I look at it from an aspect of, I'm not putting my recipe on the jar, but I want you guys to know, I want everybody to know what's in there, because you know what, there are people that have like a weird allergy that could be spices, So I just try to, we try to list, we list everything that's in our products. So
I imagine it's probably all stuff you can pronounce and
yeah.
not
yeah.
those Zydium Glove.
Yeah, you won't
something
find
or
any
others.
of that. Yeah. So that's one thing that we really pride ourselves on too, is we don't put junk in our jars.
That's
So we everything, all these are all natural. So we don't use, any kind of like, preservatives or anti-caking agents. We don't use any of that stuff.
Okay.
So everything that's in those jars, it's strictly herbs and spices.
And that's a good selling point because I was just watching a movie, and it was about genetically modified foods. And it's like, wow, that's messed up. Some
Yeah.
of the stuff that, so I'm glad to see that that you're putting all your ingredients on there. That 'cause that is important to a lot of people.
Right. And we also we don't use gluten in any of our products too.
Okay.
I will say that we can't call ourselves gluten-free because it's not the ingredients that we use. They're not ground in a gluten-free facility.
Right.
So there's still a chance of trace amounts. I would say that the chances of somebody with a sensitivity, would probably never have an issue with them. But we can't call ourselves gluten free, and we'll talk to, like folks at markets and things, and we'll say, well, do you have anything that doesn't have gluten? And I'll say, well, do you have a gluten intolerance? Are you celiac? Because celiac, that could, it could be deadly.
Yeah.
So people that have a sensitivity, I tell them that they're more than likely safe to use our stuff. But if they're celiac, I recommend that they don't. Getting like gluten-free ingredients is very, very tough, and they're very, very expensive because they're done in specific environments, and it's just crazy. There's no way that we could be cost effective to sell it. I mean, we would have to charge a ridiculous amount to have a gluten.
Oh, yeah, it's being such a specific niche, whatever you want to call it, that those that are producing that stuff, they got the corner market. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the King Kong Trail. Doug Vandiver sitting next to Bo Brockett and talking about your spices. Tell us again, where can we find more information about your BoBq, how we can get a hold of you?
Yep, certainly. So you can get a hold of us through our website. It's BoBqRubs.com. It's just BoBq RUBS or RUBS.com. You can find so on our website there's links to our Facebook. There's an email to get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us directly. I'd love for folks to get a hold of me if you got questions. I'll be happy to answer questions, or take your comments, or criticism, whatever you got. And on our website too, we got we have recipes on there. We have some more info about us. There's a link to my testimony on there as well in the About Us section. So check that out. Other than that, we're on Facebook. We are on Instagram. If you type in BoBq Rubs, should pop up. You should be able to find us.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot again. Chicken, pork, or beef? What's your favorite?
My favorite. I'm a steak guy.
Oh,
So
yes.
give me a good ribeye with some really good marbling, and I'm in.
I've got a quote from my daughter. She was probably about 5 or 6, and she said, "Dad, what are we having for dinner tonight?" And I said, "Cow." And she goes, "I love cow." And yeah, my kids, I think we are definitely beef, but unfortunately, we eat a lot of chicken.
Yes. Beef's a little cashy, so yeah. So yeah, we're mostly like our family. We do eat a lot of chicken. We probably eat more chicken and maybe even pork. Steak's kind of that special, maybe once a week. Kind of, I don't know if we'll do steak, but we'll have something beef and
right.
Yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago, I don't do salmon. I don't do seafood.
Okay.
Don't like it. Don't care for it. Traumatized as a child. My wife and 2 of our 3 children love it. And we got some salmon, and she decided to cook that up. I think it was right around Valentine's Day. And of course, me and my youngest were like, steak night. So yeah, if I were to choose, beef is mine. Pork is my least favorite, just because I can't eat it. I don't know what it is, but one time I had pork ribs, I lost 4 or 5 days worth of work.
Oh, wow.
And it was bad. It just rips my stomach up. So I can eat bacon all day, but pork ribs, nope.
Yeah. I got a friend that's allergic to pork, and and it's anything pork. I feel bad for him. He can't eat bacon.
Oh.
It's like the best thing on earth.
Yeah. Now, I have gone crazy on bacon to where it did upset me a little bit. It's like, all right, I got to do this in small pieces. But, and it's sad because, I love it.
Yeah. Have you
Good
done
pulled pork sandwich, and coleslaw on top of it. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you done pork belly burn-ins?
That I have not.
Oh,
I
man.
have not.
It's like bacon candy. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh.
So I'll have to show you the recipe. It's on our website too, though.
All right.
Put it on there.
All right. We will.
So yeah, we love that. If I say pork belly burn-ins at my house, it's like you might as well tell them they're going to Disney World.
So we do this thing we call it hillbilly sushi.
Okay.
And it's not kielbasa. Is it kielbasa?
Mm-hmm.
My brother always used to give me grief if I bought the wrong thing. It was either kielbasa or sausage. I don't think it wasn't the beef sausage. He said it was too greasy. So it was a kielbasa wrapped in bacon with some brown sugar and then some chipotle on it and a little cayenne. Yeah. Oh, put that in the smoker about 45 minutes.
Sounds good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah. Well, Bo, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks for doing this. I'm excited to have a bigger reason to start firing up the grill and smoker again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully the weather's changing here,
Yes.
so
Yes.
sounds like we might have another batch of snow later this week.
I
But
know.
man, I almost want to get the motorcycle out today.
Yeah. I don't have a motor. I kind of have a motorcycle. Kind of. I had a motorcycle. I've always been a Harley guy. I've had Sportster. I had a 59 Panhead. Had to sell it off probably 15 years ago because my feet was going bad, diabetic really bad. Was afraid I couldn't hold up a motorcycle anymore, and I had built up a 59 Panhead, and it was either keep my Panhead or pay for my son. So we paid my son's hospital bills when he was born.
Yeah.
It was a good trade.
Yeah.
And then I bought a couple Jeeps since then, which is just as fun. So, but
Did you strap a car seated?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
But
they
un-
kind of
un-
frown on you when you strap a baby to the back of a motorcycle.
yeah.
I've never done it, by the way.
So yeah, but I almost got. I mean, I've kind of got a motorcycle. My brother passed away, and I'm getting his motorcycle, and it's going to be I got to put the engine back together, and so probably won't be ready this year, but next year. But this year I'll have the Jeep out. So
There you go.
so, well, Bo, thanks so much
Yeah, absolutely.
for coming on. We'll get this out, and definitely we'll see you on a Sunday morning. If not between now, I'll see you on Farmers Market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be there.
All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to the King Kong Trail. Doug Vandiver, and I will be back maybe next week with another edition of the King Kong Trail. See you later.